Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Asgard, and welcome back to our Direwolf 20 1.10 Let's Play series. So, I went ahead. I'm actually starting this episode starting to record this episode a little bit sooner than intended. That is due to the fact that our reactor has shut down, and we've used up all of our fuel rods, and I want to handle that with you guys and go over how we're going to automate that system. Since last episode, though, I did get a bit done. You'll notice I did finally go through and name all the areas, except those two towers aren't named. But these names aren't set in stone. It's just right now, I mean, I may end up changing it and say, like, Power Floor 3 is... Honestly, let me go ahead and change that. We'll say... we'll call it Reactor Floor. So, eventually we'll have all the floors... No, maybe not all the floors, because some of these I don't know what I would call it, like spawners. I don't want to call it like specific mobs or something, so I don't know. Certain floors will probably end up changing the name of, and then other ones will leave. Also, I did get all these towers opened up, so those are accessible. Let's see, our nether miner, we do have one of those now. It's set with a biome marker for hail. So it's mining in the nether. If we look in here, you can see a bit of netherrack and stuff's coming in. Occasionally it gets like glowstone and different things like that. This is moved and expanded. We have 10. I don't really think we need 10. I think 9 is the maximum that we need. I just think it looks better when it's, even. So I did go ahead and add another one of those. And then I think that's the I fixed this flooring, and I haven't added anything because eventually we're going to tear this down, probably tear out all of that. And I'm thinking, I'm not sure exactly what we'll put down in here. I'm considering doing the rainbow generator to show you guys. We'll automate that together and everything. We may do that down there, and then this floor have like our diesel set up and our stuff, and maybe expand on that. I don't know. Honestly, really the only power we need is that top floor, maybe throw in another turbine. We're still sitting very positive on power. If we pop in here, I haven't got this fully cleared out. I've got that section to clean up just a little bit, that section to clean up a bit, this section to clean up a bit, and that to do. But I did finish. It gets really laggy in here. I do apologize. It takes forever sometimes to work in here because of like the lag spikes. But I did finish putting sag mills and powered furnaces into this. It's way more than we need, but you got to finish it if you start building that out like that. So honestly, we could run a few more quarries and this would keep up perfectly fine. I did push our crystal growth stuff back here, and got all that plugged up and everything, and yeah. And I was starting to work on lighting a little bit. I've done some changes with the lighting through here, lighting up spots that were slightly dark and whatnot, but then I got sidetracked by the fact that our reactor stopped. I think it had actually stopped a while back because we only have 17, 18 UU matter in that right now. So I think it stopped a while back, and I didn't catch it. Also, I did expand on this. We now have 4 solar panels that feed into 4 MFSUs. So, and I just colored these cables with the painter from, if we pop over here, I've still got them in this chest, if I recall. Yeah, the painters from IC2. You can use those to color cables so they won't connect. And then also I did have to add, because I went to request a high voltage solar panel and just let it craft, the entire thing, and it didn't work. So I did add 64K crafting storages. We have 4 of those, or technically 8 of them, but there's 4 of our CPUs that are now double 64Ks. That way we can order those large orders like the solar panels and stuff like that. Usually our small orders are going to prioritize these, these weaker crafting CPUs, but then these tend to stay free for our big orders. So that way, I don't really need, honestly, full 64Ks up there would be a little bit overkill, but I think 4 of them is pretty good. Pretty good to have. I am probably going to, I was about to order another solar panel and I got it started. But then I canceled it because it would tie up all of our IC2 stuff making solar panels for a while. Those high voltage, they do take a while to craft. So I decided to just wait, and I'll order that later. But basically I was thinking if we had another solar panel that plugged up and fed the recyclers and the mass fabricator, or the recyclers and the mass fabricator, it would be nice, you know, to have that stuff feeding in. But we're probably going to move some of this power into the mass fabricator, honestly, and then we'll use a little bit for our scanner and replicator. Because that stuff we're not going to be running all the time. The mass fab could use more power. So anyways, the first thing we're going to be doing today is automating this system for the nuclear reactor, because basically I want it to auto pull stuff out whenever they get finished, basically. So what we're going to do, let's get ourselves just a little bit of yellow dye here. And we'll go ahead and I guess we'll set up our ender chest for this. We're going to put our ender chest right here. And we're going to color this yellow, yellow, yellow so that it connects. And then let me get a filter and then just some item conduits. And what we're going to do is we're going to say that you can extract, but you're going to have a filter, and you're only going to be able to extract the quad fuel rods. And that just kicked on. I don't want it to kick on, in fact. So we'll toggle that off real quick. I know. They're complaining because they don't have power. So we're going to say you can only extract these quad fuel rods that have the depleted uranium. Okay? And we'll go ahead and have those insert. So we should see, there we go. All of these quad fuel rods get pulled out. And they are quickly replaced with uranium quad fuel rods that are not depleted. Alright. So now, the reason we're not going to just dump those into a trash can, though, is because we want to actually handle those. We want to do something with them. That should be cool. Okay. So that's back up and running now. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop over to here, and we're going to want to get ourselves another thermal centrifuge. So that is automated. Wonderful. Go ahead and order one of those. And then I also want to get another one of these thermoelectric generators. So we'll order one of those, and then I'm also going to want some more RTG fuel. So we'll order like 6 of those. And then, I also want an LV transformer. Okay, so there's our generator. There is our, bouncing around here, transformer, our RTG. And while we're waiting on that, let's go ahead and get ourselves a lever as well. And there's our thermal centrifuge and our, no, I want our RTG, there we go. Okay, so now we should be good. And what we're going to do is, this is just going to be an automatic system. Okay, I think what we're going to do is we're going to set our radioisotope, we'll put it right down here, and we'll throw in our RTG, so that's going to start producing power. And then I want to put our LV transformer here. And where's my wrench at? We'll grab our wrench, and I'm going to go ahead and say this is going to be fixed step up. So it's going to input 32 EU per tick. It's going to output 128. And we'll go ahead and set the high voltage side up. And then we'll set our thermal centrifuge down right there. Throw a lever onto this. That way it starts heating up automatically. So you can see that it's actually building up power. Wonderful. And then what I want to do is let's get ourselves that cyan line. Let me go grab some cyan cable. And I'm also going to want an export bus. Do I want an export bus and an import bus? Or how do I want to do this? Because I'd rather keep it flush. Actually, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We are going to fight this lag. And we're going to get ourselves an interface. Then what we're going to do is we are going to set our interface down just right here. Let me get so I can get underneath this. Or actually, I don't need to get underneath this, do I? I think that's got a cable. Yeah. Okay, never mind. And we're going to set in the configuration, we're going to say keep these depleted fuel rods in here. Okay. And then I'm going to just attach an item conduit here. We're going to say that, you know, you can extract with a filter, and you're only going to be able to extract quad fuel rods, depleted uranium quad fuel rods. And extract is always active. And we'll have that insert. So you'll notice all those quad fuel rods go into this. And then what we need to do is we're going to set this to also extract on the brown line. And we're going to say that you can insert on the brown line. But I'll tell you what, before we extract, I'm gonna turn that off right now. I'm not gonna let it extract. We're gonna give it just a second. You can see that it's running through, it's breaking down these depleted fuel rods. And when this yellow bar fills up, come on. There we go. You can see that we got tiny piles of plutonium, uranium, and iron dust. Okay. Now iron dust, we should be able to just run it through, and just smelt it. So I'm going to grab a little bit of that. I'm going to grab a little bit of this uranium and a little bit of this plutonium to make sure that all my filters are set up and everything. I guess we will slip right into here. Okay, we've got a line that inserts draconium. I don't think... Yeah, this shouldn't accept it. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're just going to add this to the one smelter that does all of our draconium as well. And we are going to say, you can also accept iron dust. Okay. Because this one is plugged up to the same color. You can see that most of these are brown-blue. This one is green-blue to accept draconium when it comes in, because that's not something that needs to be sag milled. All the rest of these basically plug into sag mills, but that one plugs straight into the input chest. And so then what we're going to say, we've got iron dust going into this, and we're going to say that you can export iron dust. Okay. So now all the iron dust that comes into the system will go straight into that furnace, get smelted, and of course create iron ingots for us. So that's handled. Great. And actually if we take and we throw in this iron dust into the system, we should see it. There we go. It pops right into here and starts smelting. Beautiful. Alright, so that's handled. Next up we have these tiny piles of plutonium. Now these you can make plutonium with them. And then plutonium we can use to make the higher tier fuel or the RTG pellets. Honestly, I don't know. The reactor that we have, it actually runs the same power output whether you're using standard uranium or MOX. So we're probably going to stick with standard uranium. So what we'll probably do, I think, is, will these work with a compression drawer? Alright, let's grab one of these and we're going to see if this works. So if we were to put tiny piles, they do work. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to handle that just with a compacting drawer and let it compact the plutonium. We may end up using it down the road. We'll see. Personally, I doubt it, but by the way, I did add things here for ardite and cobalt because we're starting to get that in the system and stuff, so went ahead and put a drawer in for those. But we'll put this over here, so it's going to start building up plutonium. Let me get my key real quick. And we'll go ahead and lock that in. Okay, so that's handled. And then uranium, we can just dump it right back into the system. So a lot of that uranium that we're using to craft is going to get then turned back into uranium. So we'll just leave that. I think I've got a drawer somewhere for uranium, right? I'm fairly certain. Oh, that's right. For a while, I was just turning it into uranium ingots. So that's why I don't have a drawer for actual uranium. Okay. So we'll put this in. Okay. So now uranium has a place to go at long last. Uranium-238. And then plutonium has a place to go. Wonderful. And so then what we can do is we can pop on down here to processing. We can tell this, wow. See all the uranium that we've built up just from breaking those down. We're going to say that you can extract, and so it's going to be pulling out all the stuff that that's creating and dumping it into this interface. And then that interface in turn is going to send it back into the system, and it's going to go to where it needs to go. So if we pop over here, we should see, here in just a second, it's doing draconium right now. We should see, there we go, iron dust just popped in there. If we pop upstairs, we should see uranium. Yep, we got a stack already. And then we've got 2 plutonium now. So wonderful. And that's all automated. And now basically, you know, whenever the fuel rods run out, they automatically get sent to the system. They get sent down there. Thermal centrifuge breaks them down. The plutonium, the uranium, the iron dust, it goes where it needs to go. And of course, it all goes back into creating more fuel cells, pumping them back into the reactor and keeping that entire system working like in a circuit. So I'm very happy with that. Okay. And this is running beautiful. And if we take a look here, we can see that we have a lot of quad fuel rods built up. Great. Okay, so we're about done handling nuclear materials now. I mean, our system does it all for us. Now, the next thing that I want to do, this is all running again. Great. It's producing UU matter. Great. So next up, we need to get into the scanner and replicator. So this is a lot of fun. First up, we're going to need the scanner. This is not terribly expensive. Electric motors. It's a lot like any other IC2 stuff. If you don't have it automated, it can be kind of tedious. But as far as expensive, not so much. So let's see. What all of this do we have? Okay, we're going to need electric motors. I should have those automated. We do. Okay. So we'll get a couple of those. And then we're going to need circuits. 2 advanced circuits. There's that. And then what was the other thing that we needed for this? Machine casing. Okay. So scanner is done. Wonderful. Also, one thing to note, if we take a look right here, we are completely out of coal, pretty much. Basically, if we order something that involves coal, it does have to wait a second, because we've been dumping it all into fuel. So, I tell you what I'm going to do, at least for right now, because we're using coal a little bit. Okay, I just took out our, where it's exporting coal right now, I went ahead and took that out, because really the power it's generating, it's not something we have to have. Also, we do have... Yeah, this ender chest right here is filled with blocks of coal. So for right now, I'll take that off there too. And we'll dump these into the system. That's going to give us plenty of coal to work with. So, alright. So let's go ahead and pop back down here. And I will say that we'll automate coal probably, possibly even next episode. I do want to start getting into RF tools, you know, in the very near future. But I do want to get that automated. You know, coal production automated. Alright, so we've got our scanner, and now we're also going to need to get ourselves a replicator. This isn't terribly expensive, but it is a little bit more expensive. We're going to need an MFE, a couple HV transformers, and then what else are we going to need? We're going to need 3 teleporters. Okay, these require frequency transmitters. These are actually very, very cheap. There's 1. There's 2. I am out of cabling. I'll get that in just a second. We're going to need some advanced machine blocks. And then our reinforced stone, of course, what we're going to do is we're just going to put down our scaffolding. So we'll just build it out like this. Then we're going to spray it with a CF sprayer. And then, whoops, let me get some sand. And then we can just right click it with the sand. I believe we went over this when we were building out the reactor, but figured I'd give you guys a... bring it back up. So we may automate this. I know I've done a tutorial in the past on how to automate reinforced stone. We may automate it in this series. I don't know for sure. I don't know if we really have the need for it to be automated, but we might. Also, on the topic of IC2, for those of you guys that don't keep up with the social media stuff for the channel, the IC2 Classic series that I was doing, if you notice, there hasn't been a video for about a week now. That is due to the server literally dying. And the server actually it will be coming up this weekend, and it'll be in the final stages of testing. So we'll be getting back into that. But we will have to be restarting for that. So just a heads up. Alright, and it looks like the stuff is done for our teleporter, I think. Oh, you know what? I think I have it opened in another one of these. That's the worst thing I think about having multiples. It's very, very handy. But sometimes it can be a nuisance too. It's my own fault because I don't close them out sometimes. Okay, so we should be good now. I think we have everything to get our replicator. We do. Okay, so there is our replicator. Wonderful. And then we're also going to want to get ourselves a little bit of crystal memory. Let's go ahead and automate these. So basically you're going to get yourself some raw crystal memory. It takes silicon dioxide. Okay, this has to be ran through the thermal centrifuge. It's 4 clay dust. We'll get you 1 silicon dioxide. I don't know for sure. Okay, we have not taught it how to make clay dust, so I'm going to automate that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and teach it how to make clay dust first. So if you take clay and you run it through the macerator, that's going to get you 2 clay dust. Okay, so go ahead and encode that. I do apologize about the lag. It's just progressively getting worse on us here. Okay, but 4 clay dust is going to get you 1 silicon dioxide. Now, do we have obsidian dust already automated for something? We do, it looks like. Or something. We have a lot of pulverized obsidian. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's a byproduct from our basalt rods, is what it is. Okay, that makes sense. I couldn't remember. I wasn't sure exactly where that was all coming from. So we can now teach it, if it takes obsidian, pulverized obsidian, and silicon dioxide, that's going to get it a crystal memory. Okay, so, and that's going to be a raw version. So we're going to go ahead and encode that. And so now we'll go ahead and order a crystal memory, because we're going to have to teach it how to smelt that. And while we're waiting to finish those, let's go ahead and plug up our scanner, and we'll go over that. Now both of these are power tier 4, so we can plug these straight into our MFSUs, and that will be fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to set our, let's see, I guess we're going to put our scanner right here, and we're going to have our replicator right here next to it. And you can say there's next pattern, last pattern that we can do. We'll get into that in just a second, but let's go ahead and plug some power up to this, and we'll just run a single cable line down, and I guess we'll plug into the back of this. And there we go. So those are building up power. Now, technically, these all output 2048, so it's more than this cable. You know, it can't really move power from all these MFSUs, but I put these here so we have a good power storage. Also, I think we'll probably end up plugging some of this into the mass fab, I think, here in just a second, just to give that a little bit of a boost in power. So, but all 4 of those solar panels together are producing 2048. So, you know, and the fact that we constantly turn it back to day, anytime that it's not day, it does work out very, very well for us. And now what we can do is we can take things like diamonds and put these into the scanner, and you'll see it says waiting no storage. So that's what we need the crystal memory for, right? Okay, so let's pop over here. That should maybe be done. Yes, it is. Okay, so we're going to tell it if you take a crystal memory raw, and we pop down here, we're going to just put it into this alloy smelter. It's going to quickly cook up, and I think it grabbed it from me. That's fine. And we're just going to say that's going to get you a crystal memory empty. Okay, we'll encode that, and then that's pretty much it. We're going to throw in the alloy smelter, this one right here, and then we will just order ourselves, let's go ahead and say like maybe 10 crystal memories. Okay, so they're going to take a minute to craft up and everything, but that's fine. We just need 1 right now, so we can go over it. And we can get ourselves, actually instead of scanning a diamond, the first thing I want to scan is going to be iridium. Okay, so we'll throw that in there. It says waiting no storage. We're going to throw our crystal memory into this, and you'll notice that it's going to scan. Now this does take a little bit. If you notice, it's slowly going through that. Every time that bar fills up, it gets 1%. Okay, and while it's running, it's draining, you know, a bit of power. I don't think it's actually going to beat out our solar panels. No, not even close. So it's going to scan that, and once it's done, it will devour this item. This item will be gone. So just a heads up on that. But that's okay, because once we get it scanned, then we can replicate it and make more of it using UU matter. So I will be back in just a minute once this finishes scanning. Okay, so it just got done scanning, and you can see that it says 120 millibuckets of UU matter, 0 EU. Okay, so what we can do is we can now hit save, or we can delete it. Now, if you delete it, you pretty much just wasted your iridium. We're going to save it, and now we can pull out our crystal memory. It says item iridium ore, UU matter, 120 millibuckets. So we have our first crystal memory. It's encoded. Wonderful. Now, the next thing that we're going to have to get, and really the last thing that we're going to have to get, is pattern storage. Okay. This is crafted with 2 crystal memories, an advanced machine casing, reinforced stone, mining laser, advanced circuit. We know how to automate. We have all that stuff automated. And I did just order some crystal memory. It's probably done-ish. 3 of them are done. I think I ordered 10. They do take a little bit to make all that, like silicon dioxide and stuff. But we'll go ahead and order a couple mining lasers. And then that advanced machine casing. I think that's the main things that we don't have probably on hand. So let's see. Those are ordered. I think everything else. Okay, we are going to need an advanced circuit. That's fine. And actually, while we're waiting, I'm going to go ahead and grab these crystal memories that we've got. These spare ones. And I'm going to go ahead and scan like maybe diamonds. Or I guess I can scan crystal memory. So we're going to do that. We're going to scan crystal memory. I don't know. There's lists online of everything that you can scan. I mean, not everything is implemented. You know, not every single mod and stuff like that. But a lot of the vanilla stuff and IC2 stuff is you know, it can be done. Now, keep in mind that different blocks and things like that, they're going to take different amounts of UU matter. So I'll show you once that crystal memory is done being created. And let's go ahead. I canceled that crystal memory that we were crafting because it was having to bust through all that clay. So I'm going to go ahead and request, say, 10 more and get those going. Realistically, I don't know how much we'll use the replicator for things, but iridium is one thing. You know, the only other way is to go through dungeons. Of course, we could get it with Britannia as well, so that is an option. But all right, so we're going to put our pattern storage down like right here, and you can see that there's different patterns that you can select. And so what we're going to do is we are going to put in our iridium ore into this, and we're going to say import from crystal, and you can see that now it says iridium ore 120 millibuckets and 0 EU. And then if we wanted to, we could throw in, say, another crystal memory, this one here. And we could say export, and you can see that now it has iridium ore on there. So that's pretty much how that works, and whatnot. So crystal memory, we've got, which I guess technically, now that I think about it, if I recall correctly, we don't actually need more than a couple of these. So for example, this is done. We're going to go ahead and grab that. It takes 217.2 buckets of UU matter for a crystal memory. So a little bit expensive, actually, for crystal memory. But now if we wanted to, we could throw in, say, this iridium ore, and we could scan the diamond, and then we could override that iridium ore. So let's go ahead. We're going to throw the crystal memory in there. We'll say import from crystal. And so now we have 2 patterns, and we can toggle between these. So you can see the crystal memory is actually very expensive to replicate with UU matter, whereas iridium, not so expensive. So generally stuff that's processed and created, like if you were to replicate something that you crafted, it's going to be more expensive than raw materials usually. For example, you can actually replicate the iridium plate, which we'll get into. That's what you're going to use to make your armor and stuff like that, is iridium plate. It takes 4 iridium ore, some advanced alloy, and diamond. Now, if you replicated the plate itself, I can't remember exactly how much it costs, but it is quite a bit more than just replicating the iridium ore. So, definitely something to keep in mind. But yeah, I totally forgot that you can overwrite these, so sorry about that. We only need like a couple of these. So now what we can do is we can say next pattern on the replicator, and we can toggle between now our iridium ore and our crystal memory. And so what we're going to do is let's get ourselves just some pressurized fluid conduits, and we are going to pump in, tell you what, I guess we're going to go through the floor so it's less cable spam. And we can actually do that. Okay. So we're going to pump this stuff out and pump it into the replicator. So we'll go ahead and say that, that U extract, always active. And you can see that this is building up UU matter from our drum. Our drum is now empty though, but go ahead and clean that up. And so now if we wanted to, say we wanted iridium ore, we can say either single run is going to make one of them, or we can say repeat run, and it's just going to make them until, it runs out of UU matter, or there's like a stack in here. Technically, you could have one replicator that just constantly makes iridium ore as it gets UU matter, if that's what you want. But we're going to say single run, and you'll notice that it's going to slowly run through this. Basically, it's going to run through the UU matter, and if something does require EU, nothing comes to mind that requires UU matter. That requires EU. But if it does, it'll run through the EU after it runs through the UU matter. So, okay, this is done. We're going to go ahead and say save, and you'll notice that copied over the iridium ore that was in here, and now it says diamond. It requires 24.1 millibucket of UU matter to create diamond. So we'll go ahead and put that in there. We're going to say import from crystal, and so now there is 3 patterns within this. So, but we can see that this iridium is slowly working through that, or it's slowly working to create the iridium, and it is taking some of that UU matter that we have built up within the replicator. So 98, 99, and 100, it's done. We can pull it out. So we have a free piece of iridium ore. Now keep in mind that whenever we scanned it, it did consume one. So basically we just got back our iridium ore. But we can make multiples of these. And it's going to basically just slowly eat through some power. Now one other thing I want to do before the end of the episode, because I know it's getting fairly close to wrapping up point, I want to get ourselves an HV transformer, and then we're going to pop up here and put our HV transformer in. I guess we're going to bring the cabling down right here. That grid power bug drives me insane. It's not really a bad bug per se, it just drives me insane. Yeah, I want it to go right here. And so what we're going to do is we are going to set this, we're going to say fixed step down. So we're going to input 2048, we're going to output 512, okay? And then we're going to change the high voltage side to the top, because we're going to be pumping in the high voltage from the MFSUs, and then we're going to put this here, and so you'll notice that this should speed up, and our recyclers should now be able to handle additional overclockers. So we do have a bit of scrap boxes built up, it looks like. I don't know if we need the overclockers in the recyclers. Yeah, it looks like they're a little bit slow in comparison to what we're using from the mass fab. So the mass fabs are really picking up. It should be generating a bit more UU matter for us now. And so I'm going to go ahead and just throw in like 1 additional overclocker into all the recyclers. Honestly, 4 should be fine. So I'm not too concerned about just generating a ton of UU matter. You can expand on this. You can add additional mass fabs, additional recyclers. You can make it super crazy. Personally, the only thing I could see even really making in this pack with IC2 or with the replicators is iridium. And really my needs for that are very slim anyway. So this size is plenty big for me. So anyways, with that, I do believe that it's just about wrapping up point. So I am going to end it here. I think it's a good point to stop on because we're pretty well done with IC2 stuff. I do believe. I think we've covered most of everything that I think is relevant. If you guys do have any questions or any suggestions or things you want to see, do let me know. But otherwise, I think we're pretty well done with IC2. So starting next week, we're going to be moving into, I believe, RF tools. I think is my next objective. At some point, I want to squeeze in just a little bit more blood magic. I think there's just a couple more things I want to cover with you guys. I'd like to get crystal growth implemented, and we'll set up a nice setup for that. Also, I'd like to do a little bit more Britannia sometime in the near future. Maybe a new mana system, as well as fight the Gaia Guardian Mark II. And then, of course, RF tools, and then we may automate maybe the rainbow generator and then do some draconic evolution. I will say that in the not near future, but in the semi-distant future, I guess if that makes sense, this series, we're kind of getting to the point where we've done most everything. So at some point in the future, this series will be ending, and I will say that we will be replacing it with FTB Beyond Expert Mode, because that's set to release sometime in like early June. So that's the intended change from Direwolf over to that is kind of my goal, because I passed on FTB Beyond because there wasn't really anything that was, FTB Beyond was just really just like a kitchen sink pack. Like, here's a bunch of mods thrown in a pack, have fun. Personally, I'm not, they're okay, but I like something that has like a little bit more focus. I like the tweaking, the recipe changes and stuff like that. FTB Beyond, once it gets the expert mode, we will definitely be doing that. So what we'll probably do is change over Direwolf, because we're getting to that point where things are kind of winding down. We've got a couple more projects I want to work on, and I want to get certain things cleaned up for the final world upload, like lighting and a little bit more cabling work. Not a whole lot. I'm almost done with all of that, so I'm happy. It's basically just the bottom floor of that AE room. And I've got to fix the bridges and do some cleanup work with Britannia. We got to expand on that, which we'll be doing that in the next few episodes. So, but yeah, so if there's anything in particular that you guys want to see, do let me know. Otherwise, the main focuses for the remainder of the series is going to be RF Tools, Draconic Evolution, Britannia, a little bit of Blood Magic here and there, but those three will be the primary focus. So we'll do like a nice, good, strong mana system. I'm probably going to implement a little bit of Pam's Harvestcraft into our our agriculture building. We're going to do, probably since we have a cow spawner, we'll probably do like beef Wellingtons, or maybe even do like epic bacon. I don't know. Let's see. No, we'll probably do the beef Wellington. I don't know. I mean, I guess we could automate flowers. That's a possibility. Also, keep in mind this episode is a world upload episode. So there will be a world upload in the description. It should be out when the video comes out. If it's not, just check back shortly. But it should be out. So, and yeah, I'm going to try to get the rest of the cabling finished, and then I'm probably going to work in the housing area, because I want to set up our actual, I guess, like sleeping area. I don't know. I want to do like an armory and some things like that in that tower over there. And then I want to move our like teleports over to this tower. Hopefully by next episode. Maybe do some work in the courtyard as well. So, but yeah, so anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, as always, be sure and hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe if you're not already for more daily videos. Also, I know I'm trying, if you guys don't watch Ozone, I know I made a announcement about it in Ozone. I'm trying to move to, in the fairly near future, it'll be 2 Minecraft series running at once instead of like 3 or 4 that we had in the past. Right now, I've got the IC2 thing that'll be starting back up. That's going to be more of like a focus fire type series. We're going to basically just be going, I don't intend for it to be very long running, or very time consuming for me outside of it, because we've already done IC2. We started it, and then the server went down. I did a big build and everything like that. So I will say that with that series, it's going to be more just focused on, here's the stuff from IC2 and going over it, because it's really like the final test, the final like hoorah before it becomes a public release mod. So that series is going to be more focused, just on IC2. Here's the stuff. There you go, kind of thing. So possibly starting next week, I may start doing 3 Direwolf videos per week, just like I've started doing with my Ozone stuff. So the actual dates on those releases, it just kind of depends. But hopefully next week you guys will see 3 Direwolf videos instead of just 2 starting then. Because moving forward, I'd rather just have 2 Minecraft series, because that way I can focus on those 2 a bit more. And then you guys have an episode every other day coming out, except for Sunday, which Sunday I may still release stuff, it'll just be like bonus stuff, or maybe go back to doing more tutorials and showcases and stuff like that on Sundays. So, but that's just some information. I know I rambled for a little bit, so I do apologize about that. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope to see you guys next time. Until then, as always, do take care, stay safe, and I will see you then.